Hello, everybody. Welcome to Healed Ho Called. Today's guest carries a story of rescue. Kathy Wisniewski. Did I say that right? I forgot to ask you beforehand.
Close enough. Wisniewski.
Walk through the heartbreaking confusion of narcissistic marriage, the kind of pain that often stays hidden and misunderstood. But what the enemy meant to silence her, God was using to awaken a calling. Now, Kathy brings Christian women to reclaim their well being spiritually, emotionally, and physically, and reminds that when God is invited into the healing process, life becomes more beautiful than ever imagined. This is a conversation about survival into stewardship and pain into purpose. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you.
So, I would love for you to, when you look back on your marriage now, what do you see differently through the lens of healing that you wouldn't see at the time?
That time in my life was such an interesting time because the person I was married to was my high school sweetheart. We had kind of been together in high school, lost contact after graduation. We were together again in our 20s for a couple of years, broke up, found each other again in our 30s, and ended up getting married. And so when everything kind of unfolded the way it did, there was the narcissistic abuse, there was cheating, there was a lot of different things going on there. It was a betrayal that felt bigger than I think anything normally would because there was such a history there. And so I think that the healing that was necessary was greater than I think would normally necessarily be, or maybe not greater, but at a different level. It was more complex because of how long we had known each other, the history we had, all of those things. It was during that time, during our separation period, I had decided that I needed something to take my mind off of everything that was going on. And that was when I enrolled in my health coach training program through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And that was able to really help me to understand the different aspects of what makes us whole, healed beings. And that is your emotional health, your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. And so when I started on my healing journey, or what I like to refer to as a healing odyssey, because I think once you bring God into it, it really is an adventure, even though there are those painful times. I was able to look at it and say, what is the healing that I need most right now? And as a typically a type A personality, I'm kind of very all or nothing. So this was difficult for me to pick one area. And I knew at that time that my emotional health was really the one that was most dire at the time, because I knew I had to make some life-changing decisions and I couldn't make it from this heightened emotional state that I was in because of the betrayal and the abuse that had taken place. And so that was the first aspect that I worked on. I really put a lot of time into trying to recognize what my feelings were and let myself feel them. And being what I consider not an emotional person, that was a challenge for me. So that was where I started, and my mental health, just trying to figure out what is my current perspective, what about it needs to change, what isn't true, what is true, and figure all of that stuff out. So that was where I started.
That's beautiful. And then what was the moment or season when you realized God wasn't just helping you survive, but actually restoring you?
Mm. So in that same time when we were separated, I had a very good mentor that I spoke with often, and I was actually sitting in her kitchen one day, and I was just sobbing over this situation. And the part that I hadn't mentioned yet is that I had actually been in a string of abusive relationships. I'd been in 3 abusive relationships in a row. And the thing that she said to me really kind of stopped me in my tracks, but was absolutely the pivot point for me. And what she said was, you have now been in several abusive relationships and you're the common denominator. She's like, I know you're not going to like to hear that, but
Mm-hmm.
she said, it's, and I didn't at first, but she said, it's not for now. You need to kind of tuck it away, bring it back out when you're ready, grapple with it, and then share what you learn with the world. And so it did take me a couple of years of working through that emotional and mental healing to when I was able to kind of take that out the way she had suggested. And I thought, okay, what, where, what have I been doing? How have I been contributing to this? What is my role in all of these situations? And during that time when kind of everything came out that was going on in my marriage, I was very, very close to God at that time. I was praying every day, taking long walks, asking for direction, trying to honor him in my decisions. And when things didn't work out the way I thought they should or the way I wanted to, I kind of put God on a shelf in a way. I kind of said, I need a break from you, which is a ridiculous statement. Like when I say it now, it sounds ridiculous. But it's like, I need a break from you. I don't understand why this happened. And for the first time really in my walk with the Lord, that was the first time that I had said, I can't move forward unless I understand why. And so several years went by, I'm not proud to say, where I kept God in that place. He was just over there, and I kind of was working through things on my own. And then eventually I came back and I just said, okay, God, I'm ready to address this with you. And I need to come before you honestly and say, like, I'm angry. I'm angry that things didn't work out the way I wanted to. I don't understand why. I don't understand why I can't move past wanting to understand why. And at that moment, I felt him speak to my heart so very clearly. And what he said was, the why doesn't matter. All that matters is that how things unfolded was the most loving way I could have allowed them to unfold. And that was when I just honestly just broke down in, I think, an emotional release and just feeling that overwhelming sense of love that, when I think back and think, okay, what would it have looked like if I had gotten my way back in those days? And I thought, I never would have felt safe in that relationship. I would have always been wondering if he was, 5 minutes late from work, where was he? What was he doing? And so I realized that this really was the best thing that could have happened. And God did that.
Yeah, well, and what's even more amazing is one of the things that I've been learning is we put him on a shelf, but he stayed as close as he can possibly be, which is in us, right? He never left.
Right.
We just emotionally put him on a shelf.
Mm-hmm.
But he was the one that was also working in and through you that whole time, those whole 3 years, to help you finally get to the point where you felt safe enough to be able to say why. And that's when he was able to say, because you were ready to hear the truth.
Exactly. Yes.
And so sometimes we think that he leaves us and we don't ever, there's no leaving anything. It's more of a mental, emotional acknowledgement of his existence and choosing to allow him to. He just loves us right where we are the whole time.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yep.
because he isn't a narcissistic, abusing, loving God. He isn't.
Right.
You shall do this, and then I will. Or
right.
I didn't do that. You just think I did.
Mm-hmm.
He is pure love of the purest sense and never a bully. He doesn't push his love on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
He just is love of the purest form.
Right. Right. And the word says that he's not a man that he should lie. So we have to be able to take everything, every promise in his word as the truth. And, he says, I come to give you life and that more abundantly. And I want your joy to be complete. And I think there's such beautiful promises that if we just, abide in him, which is the passage that I've been kind of camping on the last couple of days. He's the vine and we are the branches. If we abide in him, then these are the things that he promises us.
Mm-hmm. Abiding him for the last couple of days. I've been working on that for this whole year so far. It's been taking me it's going to take a while for me to truly unwind 48 years of striving and figuring out, okay, now, and the more I let go, literally, the more I'm able to rest and abide. Because I'll be like, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? He's like, and even last week, I'm like, dude, like, I don't even know how we're going to pay for June. And then I'm ready. I'm like, bring it in the perfect timing like that. Like it a little early so I didn't have the stress. But what he's teaching me is to literally just know.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy's got this.
Right.
And like literally, it's like the trust fall on steroids.
Yep.
Which I still like. If you and I were together, even no matter if we built our trust up to the fullest extent, I still couldn't fall backwards and trust you that you to catch me. I'm just saying,
Right.
it's never gonna happen, girl.
Yep. Yep. And you know what I've been camping on too in this whole passage in John is that, you know, the vine and the branches, I think about the branches, and the branches are what bear the fruit, and the fruit that we bear is his fruit. It's an overflow of what he gives to us. But what I think is even more fascinating is that the branch doesn't kind of hang around and like try real hard to make that fruit. All it has to do is be there, and it gets all of its lifeblood from the vine. So I think we strive a lot, and we don't have to.
That is probably one of the best word pictures of the year. It's like the branch doesn't. Thank you for that. I needed that visual because I am such a visual person. It's like, dude, am I pushing the fruit out? Or am I just letting the fruit grow?
Right.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. So when you use the phrase rewrite your story, what did rewriting yours look like in real practical ways?
Yeah. So there was one night when I was still in the home, and it was a stormy, rainy night. It sounds like the beginning of a novel. It was a dark and stormy night, but I was in my office, and I was everything was still very, very fresh, and I was literally on the floor in a puddle of my own tears. And I remember that he came to the doorway and just stared at me and said, you know, what are you crying about? And I said, what am I crying about? And he says, are you still crying about that? He said, you look ridiculous. Get up off the floor. And then he walked away. And as he was walking away, I said, I'm going out. I need to get out. And he said, it's raining, it's storming, you're not going anywhere. It's not safe for you to drive right now. He's like, just clean yourself up and find something to do, basically. And then he walked away and went upstairs. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, this is a crossroads moment. And I have a decision to make. I could either let all of this make me bitter or make me better. And I think if I chose bitter, no one would blame me. I could sit in the corner and be angry, and I think that that would be justified. But that wasn't the choice that I made. I knew that I wanted to let it make me better. And it was at that moment that I knew that I had to find a way to help other people get through this. And I think part of that is that, you know, I think a lot of times we look at our own stories and we compare them to other people. And I looked at my story and I said, mine isn't as bad as what a lot of people suffer. Now, I don't think that that should negate our own stories. You know, whatever you have experienced is your experience, and it could be really bad for you. But my point in saying that is that I knew that I would eventually be in a place where it was safe for me to talk about these things. I was not afraid and am not afraid of him doing anything. I never say his name. I never give any identifying information about him. I just tell my story. And so I knew that I needed to help in some way. And so a couple of years went by, and I remember my best friend since the fourth grade came out to visit me. And I was telling her about a podcast that I had started for my full-time job. And I told her, you know, I love, you know, coming up with the topics, and I love looking for the speakers, and I love creating the questions and doing the interviewing and then doing the editing and all the production. I love all of it. And I said, podcasting gives me life. And then in a separate conversation, I said, you know, I really want to do something for women who are going through things like this. I don't know what it is. And she said, why don't you put these two things together? And I was like, why didn't I think of that? And so that's how I turned it into a practical step. I created a podcast called Tragically Beautiful. And that's where I invite people on to tell their stories of abuse, and just to shed light on the fact that people have gotten through things and you can too. And then also invite some professionals and experts, counselors, therapists on to help people figure out what the next right step might be for them. If they're like, okay, I believe I can get through this, but what do I do right now?
Right.
So
That's really beautiful. And I love that you brought up the podcast. That's kind of to do with my next question. So, through the podcast, what happens in a woman's heart when she realizes she's not alone?
mm, I think that is such a magical moment. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who have told me, like, even 5 years out, I didn't know how much I needed this, how much I needed to hear that other people have gone through it, that there is healing available, that I can let this go and I can forgive, which is a big one. That's one I hear a lot. Like, I didn't know that I could forgive. I thought that that meant that what happened was okay. And I realize now that it just means I'm releasing it. And that has been, I think, where the magic has been for me in doing this, is just giving people the space to tell their stories, which is healing for them, and then allowing these stories to be heard, which the audience has given me great feedback on, that they needed to hear it.
No, that's awesome. So, when you approach wellness through a faith lens, mind, body, spirit, why is it so important for abuse survivors to address all three instead of just one?
Mm. Well, as I worked through Tragically Beautiful, and it'll be, actually, it's this month will be the third 2023, six. So 3 years. It'll be 3 years on the 15th of this month. I asked myself a question, like, if this is what I was doing full time, would that fulfill me? And I thought to myself, if I was being really honest, no, this is just a heavy space to live all the time. And so I wanted to put my health coach training into practice. So I created a second podcast, which is called Wellness God's Way. And it is kind of like, in Tragically Beautiful, we tell the stories. We kind of hopefully give you the next steps in your journey, where Wellness God's Way is kind of the second phase. Where do we go from here? And in that podcast, we do talk a lot about emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual healing. And I think that, we have a creator that made us with all of these different aspects of ourselves. And that's what makes us not robots, right? Like, we have emotions, we have brains to think, and a body to steward. And I think once you understand that all of those things are interconnected, like, if you're really, really stressed out at work for a long period of time, that's going to start showing up in your physical reality. You're going to start getting headaches a lot, or not be able to sleep. And, if your spiritual life is not where it should be, that may
Mhm.
start showing up in your mental health, where maybe you snap at people easily, or whatever the case may be. So I think that understanding that we are whole beings with all of these different aspects is crucial to our healing.
That is, it's so true. And it's amazing that I don't know why people would even try to compartmentalize it all,
Mhm.
because it is, I mean, they even try teaching it more in the schools, with the kids need to take care of mind, body, spirit. So I'm glad that they figured it out, so that, they're not trying to figure it out later in life. And
Right.
maybe our younger generation can figure it out earlier.
Mm.
So if God continues expanding this mission, what do you envision? Is it a book, retreats, larger survivor community? What feels like the next step?
Ah, oh, the dream question. I love it. Um, I would love to, first of all, start a community. I have an online community, but I haven't really put it out there yet. I'm kind of still working in the background on it. But I would love to have women enter into this space where they feel like it's safe for them to share their thoughts and their feelings and their struggles, so that these other Christian women can come around them and help them and support them and pray for them. So that is what I would love to see. I I have a book in mind. We'll see if that happens. I haven't started it, but I do have one in mind. But I think those are the next steps that I'd love to take.
And before we wrap up, is there anything you're currently building, launching, or looking for support with that our audience or network might be able to help with?
Mm. Well, my Wellness God's Way podcast is very new. I just started that in February of this year. I would love to grow that, to be able to have more people hear this message of what full and complete wellness means. The name of my business is actually True and Lasting Wellness, and I think that that's so perfect, because that's what God offers us: true and lasting wellness. So I think That's my main goal and my main ask right now is come check it out. All of my episodes, I try and keep them. Well, sometimes I can be a little long-winded, so they could go up to like 22, 23 minutes, but I try to keep them all at like 10 or 15. So it's very bingeable, very easy to listen to on a car ride. So yeah, that would be amazing.
Is there an easy place for people to be able to find all of that?
Yes. My website is trueandlastingwellness.com. And if you go to trueandlastingwellness.com/WGW, that's where you'll find the podcast.
All right. I'm going to put that in here so it shows up to the YouTube, and I'll copy it later. And maybe it went everywhere. Maybe not. Well, we'll figure it out. It's all right. It's let me see if I can show it. Here we go. Yay. See, make sure I spelled it all right.
That looks good.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and thank you for reminding us that God doesn't waste pain. He redeems it. So everyone to remember, your story is proof that healing is not only possible, it can become beautiful. And for every woman listening who feels unseen or unheard, this may be a conversation that made this conversation be a gentle whisper of hope. And you're not alone, and your story isn't over. And feel free to connect with Kathy at her website, find her socials. I'll tag her in some of the posts, and may everyone be blessed. And remember, you are healed, whole, and called. Till next time.
Thank you.